Hey, 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 how are you, everybody? I hope everyone's having an amazing weekend so far. It is Sunday evening here in Australia, and it was an absolutely glorious day in Melbourne. The air was crisp, the sun was out, especially in the afternoon. I got to go on a bit of a walk. My baby girl's teething, and so she's been crying a fair bit today, and I've been holding her and giving her some mummy cuddles, and I've been enjoying having some quality time with her. Hello Melanie, thank you for stopping by. I wanted to talk to people today about mental illness. Hi Shelley, hi Michelle, because it's a very dear topic to my heart, and it's very, very topical given the recent events that have happened with Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade and so many other celebrities around the world. And I just wanted to talk to people about this because I think there's some sort of expectation about mental illness, and it's going to be very general. I know that there's always going to be the exception to the rule, but I just wanted to really come out clean about certain things about mental illness, only because I've suffered from it. And I wanted to share my experience based on, what you go through. I'm not going to go through play by play, but just generally speaking, what not to expect from someone that's gone through mental illness. So I hope people don't mind me sharing this, because I'm quite surprised that people kind of expected that Anthony Bourdain raise his hand and say, hey, I'm suffering from mental illness. So anyway, guys, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Elsa Morgan. I am a wife, I am a mum, and I also have a home-based business that I run solely online. I am a full-time mum, and I work my home business very part-time, and I absolutely love it. So, but today I want to talk about this topic, mental illness, that really, really is something close to my heart. Hi Navilla, how you going? Hi Kate, how are you? Thanks for joining, guys. So I just wanted to just take you back to when I was pregnant with my firstborn, Alfie. It was in 2014, and I've always been a very strong person. I've always been someone that's been a positive person and like having a laugh and hanging around friends. But something about my pregnancy with Alfie just didn't sit very right. And throughout the pregnancy, I really couldn't quite put my finger on it. And really towards the back end, I'm talking about with like 4 or 5 months to go, I really, really struggled with remaining positive, and I felt like I just couldn't keep going. I was going through a fair bit of pain as well. Alfie was a big child, and he is very, very tall for his age. He's going to turn out to be exactly like his dad. So I was carrying very big, and was going through a lot of pain. But something that I didn't quite expect, that is, I suffered from perinatal depression. And it's you know what? Not very many people know that. So I kept this very quiet to myself. It was something that I suffered behind closed doors. My husband knew about it. Like we were engaged at that time, and it was a very, very dark struggle for me. There were a number of occasions where I rang Lifeline and Beyond Blue. I'm forever grateful to the services that they provide. And just to talk through what I was going through, I wasn't quite sure why. I was really confused as to why someone like me, that's typically a very strong person, I'd run so many marathons, very, very strong-minded. I've pushed myself through so many personal barriers, and I achieved so many great milestones in my life, and have gone through so many things in my life, like failed relationships. I've failed. I went through bankruptcy and got myself out of that as well. So there were so many things that I had gone through in life and had never really suffered from mental illness until I was pregnant. And you know, it's meant to be the most happiest time of your life, you know, carrying a child, and it was my firstborn, and I never really knew whether I was going to be a mum or not, so I was really conflicted with what I was feeling. And so I relied heavily on the services from Beyond Blue and Lifeline, and obviously my GP. And whilst I didn't undergo formal treatment before I had Alfie, one thing I didn't do was tell people about it. I never ever told anyone that I went through that. I never ever talked to anybody about it. So I'm really, really surprised that people are surprised that you know, people that are going through mental illness behind closed doors. And you know, unfortunately, some of them just see this as a way out. I'm not saying what they've done is right or anything like that, but I'm surprised that people are surprised that they didn't know about it. I mean, this is not something that I wanted to talk about. I didn't want any attention on myself. I didn't want people to know. I didn't want people to be ringing me every second day and asking how I was going. I didn't want my mother to know. I didn't want my friends to know. It was just something that I wanted to deal with on my own. And I think people need to understand that. And so my message to you guys tonight is that, you know, I've seen it on my timeline today, and I'm telling you the same, is to reach out to your friends, reach out to your family. You don't know how they're going, what's really happening in their world, and it could be a difference to someone, right? And this is why I totally and for random acts of kindness, you know, paying it forward, you know, just being nice to people, and just being a good human. Because at the end of the day, this is all the stuff that adds to good things happening. And just by even reaching out to someone and saying, hey, are you okay? It does make a difference. Even though when you're going through mental illness, you don't want to talk about it. I mean, I certainly did not want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it with my husband. He knew about it, right? He was just there. He knew how to support me. He was just basically there, and I had my good days and I had not so good days. Right? And then once we had Alfie, I had a period of 3 months of postnatal depression that was really tough, like really tough. And again, I had some friends that suspected that I was going through that because I became really withdrawn, but I certainly on social media did not make out at all that I was suffering from it. And I've only really spoken about that way after, when I had accepted that was something that I had gone through and that I'd fully recovered from it. But whilst I was going through it, there was no way that I was going to be plastering it on Facebook. I didn't want anyone to know. I really didn't. I felt kind of weak, and I felt ashamed that I wasn't strong enough to be able to deal with this. I felt like I should be happy because I've got a child, and I know so many people that can't conceive, and here I was not happy, and I felt really guilty and selfish for feeling this way. So the last thing I wanted to do was to be plastering it all over Facebook and saying, hey guys, I'm going through postnatal depression. Yay! It just does not work that way. So, you know, my message to you, especially in the wake of all of these celebrities, I mean, I'm kind of gutted about Anthony Bourdain. I followed him on Twitter, and I used to love just following his journey and his tweets. He was a highly intelligent man, and I just really liked he was just really, really different. In this world of cynicism and negativity, he just brought some reality and real talk. So I was really, really gutted to hear the news of his passing. But my news to you guys is, you know, don't be surprised if someone has passed on and from mental illness and they never told anybody. It's having gone through it myself, you don't want to tell anyone. You don't want to be going to someone and say, hey, I'm going through the black dog, or I've got the black dog. It's just not something that you do, right? And, well, not from my experience anyway. And from people that I've had friends, really good friends, suffer from it, like really, really much worse than myself. And they certainly didn't want to help. They didn't want help. They didn't, they didn't want me to be ringing them or messaging them every day, asking them. It's just something that you just want to deal with privately because there's such a stigma attached to it. And people look at you differently and they treat you differently. And so you just have to understand that mental illness is very much a silent disease. It's a silent illness. It's just something that people like to deal with personally, just based on experience. And I just think it's really important that you just keep reaching out to friends. You just keep reaching out to people, asking them, they're going, if they've always been social on social media and been vibrant and happy and suddenly they've disappeared, there's a reason for it, right? Reach out to them and ask what's going on in their world. If typically they're positive and happy and all of a sudden there's some negativity in their world on their social media posts, reach out to people and ask them what's going on in their world, right? I'm being serious here because, we are all here to help the fellow man, and we don't want to be, feeling guilty about possibly someone that we could have helped by simply just extending our arm and offering our hand, by not asking seriously, how are you, right? Kindness is the foundation of love and of us, being servant and in nature. And I'm just reaching out to all of you guys tonight, in the wake of all of these, events happening. It's so important that we just look after each other. Don't be afraid to ask someone, are they okay? Don't be afraid to offer, their help. And they don't need to blurb exactly what they've got, but knowing that you're there can just make a difference. And I've got friends that are going through stuff at the moment, and I'll just tap in with them. I don't want to know if they don't want to tell me, but I just say to them, hey love, just want to let you know that I'm thinking of you, right? And that could just mean the greatest thing. So I just want you to know that based on experience, having gone through perinatal depression, having gone through postnatal depression, you don't want to tell anyone about it. You just don't. You want to deal with it. I certainly felt that way. There's such a stigma attached to mental health that you just do not want to blurb it out on social media. You don't want to tell anyone. You just want to make people think that you're okay. So if someone doesn't look okay, or your gut feeling tells you that they're not okay, then you're probably right. And just even ask them how they're going. Okay, because you know what? I've been there. I've gone through it. I certainly didn't want people to be reaching out to me asking how I'm going. It's just would be the last thing. In fact, that could actually make it worse for someone like me who's very independent and, very in control of my emotions. It's like I can deal with it. I can deal with it. And to have people inbox me all the time, knowing that what I have would really, really consume me and it'll really overwhelm me. But I just think that even if you just reach out to someone and say, hey, I've been thinking about you, can make a difference. Just let them know that you're there. And just by you letting them know that you're there is somewhat of a comfort, right? I don't know. I just felt compelled to mention this because I kept seeing on my timeline today, I'm really surprised that nobody knew about this. Well, I can tell you I'm not because having gone through it myself, I didn't tell anyone I was going through perinatal depression. There was just no way that I was going to let anybody know. I mean, it was bad enough that my husband knew, right? But I wasn't going to let anybody know that I was going through that. I wanted to deal with it on my own, and everything was fine. My pregnancy was awesome. I'm looking fabulous, and I'm so looking forward to being a mum. But behind closed doors, I was a mess. So I hope this really, really resonates with some people, and I hope it doesn't trigger anybody, but that's not my intention. My intention here is to really educate people, certainly from a perinatal and postnatal depression perspective, that, once it takes hold of you, you're in your own world. You're in your own world, and you really have to figure it out on your own. It is just not something that people can fix. You have to fix it on your own, and it really has to come from within. But knowing that you're loved and supported, right, does make a difference, right? And it is a very, very difficult process and journey to deal with. But just know that this is something that is an individual journey, but at the same time, feeling loved and being supported, just knowing that if you just needed to pick up the phone and talk to someone, that someone was there, you know, is enough, right? So make that call, send that message, you know, send flowers to someone if you think they really need it. And if you see a drastic change on their social media, make the effort and just ask them if they're okay, or, you know, just tell them that you thought of them, you know, or just even touch base and see what's happening in their world, because there's a reason why they're doing it. Although typically, like someone like me, that's like if you've done the color personalities, right? I'm a red. I'm as red as you can come, right? And I would never say anything on social media as I was going through it, right? Now that I've gone through it and I'm over it, and I've, you know, I can freely talk about it, my experience, so I can share my experience. But when I'm going through that whole process, there is no way in the world that I would have spoken about it. So anyway, guys, I hope this helps from a perspective of someone that's gone through mental illness and, you know, like gone through some really, really dark patches, to help you understand that it's not as clear as like having a cold, right? It is something that it is an individual journey, and to not be expecting people to reach out to you and say, hey, I've got a mental illness. It just doesn't quite work that way. So anyway, guys, I hope this gives you some clarity. This is all purely from an educational point of view, and certainly for just to help people to really reach out and spread more love and kindness and friendship, and let's all support each other. That's what we're here for, is we're all on this journey together. So anyway, guys, keep smiling, have an amazing week, and certainly if any of you guys want to reach out and talk to me about my experience, I'm happy to share it as well. Take care, guys. Keep smiling. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.